This was a clean shoot. I repeat, this was a clean shoot. It was terrible as it is, as terrible as it was, this is a clean shoot. And I will tell you why in a second. There's some new video. There's a lot more new video to share with you that shows that this was a clean shoot, as terrible as it was. As terrible as it was. Those officers did not know that they were shooting a man who at that time was unarmed, it appears. What they thought at that time was, what they knew at that time was gun, 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 gun. There's a threat. Gun, gun, gun. That's what they knew at the time right there. I'm going to be playing you videos in just a second that show that and prove that. Number one of the most important things is, well, some of the most important things of this, he was not an ICE agent. He's a Border Patrol agent. Those were Border Patrol agents that did that. Number two, it is not illegal to carry a firearm in the state of Minnesota to a protest. He was not breaking the law. He was breaking the law in that he did not have an ID on his person when he was carrying. That is illegal. It doesn't mean he should be shot. As many people are trying to say, well, does that mean he should be shot? No. What happened was a man chose to illegally carry his firearm because he wasn't carrying ID. I believe the reason he wasn't carrying ID is because he's a member, reportedly, of a Minnesota Ice Watch, this group that intentionally chases around, hinders, and tries to stop ICE from arresting vile criminal illegals and getting them off the streets. What the man was doing was not protesting. The man was part of a group, it appears, that hunts down and chases after ICE and tries to stop them from doing their job. If you are armed, you should never try to hinder or get in the way of law enforcement if you are carrying a firearm. This is common flippin' sense 101. In fact, Alex Pretty, the deceased man, the decedent in the Minneapolis shooting, the latest Border Patrol Minneapolis shooting, he was warned by his parents, yeah, go ahead and protest. They warned him. I know he's an adult, but his parents did say, according to many reports, just don't get involved. Just go there and protest, but don't get up in people's grill and stuff like that. Well, he did, and unfortunately, he was armed. And unfortunately, that's exactly why he was killed. Now, we're going to play some video. And yes, it's true that it appears that, yes, he was disarmed at the time he was shot and killed. However, watching the video from every single angle, if that indeed is his firearm, which it appears it is, that is taken off of his person, 5 agents in that tussle, not one of them knew the gun was gone. Not one of them appeared to have known the gun was gone. In fact, you're going to hear and see video that just came out more this afternoon of the agent saying, where's the gun? Where's the gun? Where's the gun? There's your proof that they had no idea that the gun was no longer on his person after the shoot and during the shoot. So, if you're an officer and you're in a tussle with a man who's tussling with you and going at it with you, as this guy was in this case, Alex Pretty, if you are tussling with a law enforcement officer and they hear gun, 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 it's over. If you don't immediately get your hands up like this, it's over. One move and you could be shot and killed, and that's exactly what happened. So you have 5 officers tussling. It's kinetic. Kinetic means everything's moving around. What does that mean? They got no idea where your hands are going to go next. And if you watch the video, it also looks like Alex is going like this to pull out his handgun, which he very well may have at that time, because his handgun was back here, according to what we've seen. He may have been going to get that gun to shoot and kill the officers. Who knows? I'm not saying he planned on doing that. What I'm saying is he carried a firearm, and it is lawful and legal in Minnesota to carry a firearm to a protest. However, if you're going to go to a protest and you have law enforcement officers, don't get in their way because it can get you killed. And number 2, don't tussle, especially if you're carrying, because it can get you killed. We should never know this Border Patrol officer. These were not ICE agents, they were Border Patrol. We should never know that Border Patrol officer's name. He was a range instructor, meaning he had a lot of extra training. However, if he thinks that guy's got a gun and he looks like he's coming this way or that way or this way, it's over. If it looks like he's going for his waistband or if he's doing this or that, it's over. And that's what I believe happened. And if the officer that pulled the trigger at that time, and his other compadres there, and by the way, there's body cam video. There is body cam video. That is a huge blessing. Because it's going to show that this was extraordinarily kinetic. This is going to show gun, 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 gun. And now they're all like, oh my gosh, where's the gun? Where's the gun? They're tussling with the guy at the same time. And then he moves, boom. Boom, boom. It doesn't matter if he shot him 1 or 10 times. Doesn't matter. You shoot to stop the threat. Some people in the comments, the keyboard warriors, some of them saying you shoot to kill. You don't shoot to kill. That's never what they're taught. It's never what they're trained. They shoot to stop the threat. If that guy is gun, and he's fighting, and it looks like he's got something from underneath, boom, boom, and that's what happened. That's what happened. That's what I believe happened. Factually, nobody knows. When you hear people say the video, I saw the video. There's like 5 or 6 videos. There's probably more than that. I saw the video doesn't mean squat. We really don't know until everything comes out. But I believe this was a justified shoot. And I believe it was a shoot that was justified because they believed the handgun was still on him and they believed he was pulling it out or had it in his hand or something of that nature in a kinetic environment. I was talking about this with my daughter. We had a really good talk, actually, because she disagrees. My wife and me and my daughter this morning were talking about this. It's very good because we had a very civil, awesome discussion. She was actually very much listening, and that's good. She didn't know that it was Border Patrol, not ICE. She didn't know that this guy was reportedly a member of ICE Watch, which intentionally follows and harasses and tries to stop ICE and Border Patrol from doing its job. So let me go to some video. But I'll say it again, and I'll say it again and again. I believe this was a 100% clean shoot, and I believe that's what the evidence is going to bear out, and I'm grateful that we found out tonight there's a body cam on this guy. All right, so here is some slow-motion video that appears to show that, indeed, this was a clean shoot. I'm going to play it for you right now. Here we go. Looks like his hand is reaching for the back of his waistband. Right there, boom. We'll go back and we'll restart it. Here we go. Looks like he's going for the waistband right there. See his right hand? Looks like it's reaching around for that waistband to shoot. Was he reaching for his waistband to shoot? We'll never know. Did he have intention of shooting an ICE officer or a Border Patrol officer in this case? We'll never know. Is it his fault that this happened? Yes. Why? Because he chose to get in the way of Border Patrol. He chose not to obey and go on the sidewalk when they said, go. And he chose to get into a tussle. And it was discovered that he had a firearm. And the moment they removed the firearm, the moment that it appears one Border Patrol agent, maybe the only one, maybe there's another one or two, but he appears to be the only one that got the gun out, which is great. But they heard gun. And secondarily, very important, this particular model of Sig Sauer. By the way, why did he had a thread on there to thread? I know it doesn't matter legally, but I'm just saying he had a thread to thread on a silencer, and he had a red laser, or I don't know if it was red, but a laser pointed on the top of it too. He had an extra magazine, which was high capacity, meaning 20 rounds instead of, I think, 16 or 17 or 15. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy. But I'm going to tell you this, for me personally, the only time I've ever carried, and I always carry, the only time I've ever carried more than the magazine that's in the chamber, the only time I've ever carried 1 or 2 extra magazines was when St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, or St. George Fentanyl, when the riots were going on in downtown Dallas, and I had to go in downtown to my radio station. Then I had 2 extra mags on me because I was concerned that I'd be driving down to downtown and the highway would be blocked by these terrorists. They would approach my car and go after me. Not because I'm a media guy, but just because I'm somebody they don't like and I'm the wrong color. So I did carry a couple of magazines. It's not illegal for the guy to carry a magazine. But it goes to, what were you doing, man? He was not carrying ID. And I believe he was not carrying ID because ICE Watch, which he's reportedly a part of, according to several reports, this ICE Watch says don't carry your ID with you. So number one, he appears to be part of a group that is hostile and gets in the way of law enforcement by default, and actually attacks law enforcement with pushes. They teach them how to push. I've shared these with you in details in previous podcasts from the New York Post. They got one of their manuals. They teach to, when ICE is holding on to the illegal, they teach you to smack it. To break the chain of the ICE officer. They teach you to open the door of the ICE officer so you can let the illegal go free. So they're trained, if he's a member of this group, which reports say he is, that he was there to obstruct, obfuscate, get in the way, and perhaps even assault an officer. He should not have been in the street. He should have obeyed orders and gone immediately to the sidewalk. He should not have tussled. He's dead because he was carrying a weapon and because he was disobeying with people when he carried a weapon. I have the gun thing, or where's the gun? Where did that video go? Here it is. Here's the video. No, that's not it. Hold on. Where did it go? There it is. Here's the video, and you're going to listen. I'm going to crank it up more. But you're going to hear the officers, the Border Patrol officers that are there on the ground after the shooting. They're going to say, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" Because they were told, "Gun, gun, gun," in the tussle. And that's why he was dead, because it looked like he was going to shoot somebody, perhaps, because the guy that appears to have shot him was from behind, it appears. Because he don't know what's going on into here. He heard gun, gun, gun. And if you move up, like you're going to shoot, you're dead. You're going to be shot. They're going to shoot to stop the threat. Listen closely, because this is immediately after the shooting, with the cops saying, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" Which proves they did not know the gun was removed from the suspect, the defendant, or the deceased, the decedent. Here we go. Did you hear that? I'm going to go back. He said, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" It's kind of hard to hear, but he says it loudly. Nobody wants to shoot anybody. That Border Patrol officer, it appears just one shot, the 10 shots. And I don't care if it was 1 or 10, you shoot to stop the threat. That Border Patrol officer and all those folks don't wake up in the morning trying to kill people. We all have people in law enforcement who we know and love. They're not murderers. Do not carry a firearm if you plan on hindering, obfuscating, or tussling with law enforcement. That's why he's dead. Because he tussled with law enforcement, he disobeyed and tussled with them, and he was armed. That's why he's dead. Again, I believe from the reports I've seen that 6 Sauer is prone, that he was carrying, is prone to misfire, reportedly, which is insane. And that officer who carried the gun with his right hand away, which we've all seen, I'm not going to show you those videos, most of us have seen everything. I believe that 6 Sauer misfired, and that's what also set off the shots. Even if it didn't misfire, gun, 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 and then he makes a sudden move, it's over. Don't carry a freaking gun if you're going to disobey and chase after law enforcement, and don't carry a gun if you're going to tussle with law enforcement. That's why he's dead. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but that's why he's dead. It's terrible. You think of that body going, boom, just going down. It's just very sad. Don't freaking tussle with law enforcement when you're armed. Don't disobey. And by the way, the moment law enforcement got him and grabbed him, whatever, you immediately hands up and you surrender. When they take you to the ground, you put those freaking hands up. You face the ground, you put those hands up. You will never get shot with your hands out like this. The thug, the gentle thug, Michael Brown, remember, hands up, don't shoot, that was all a lie. Michael Brown committed strong-arm robbery, grabbing he's a giant, a terrorist giant, and he grabbed that convenience store owner and threatened him and shoved him back and took the blunts so he can smoke more weed. He had so much weed. The level of THC was at levels that are paranoia, hallucinating, and psychosis. And that's why he tried to murder that officer in Ferguson, Missouri. So it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, but it was a clean shoot. Absolutely a clean shoot. As terrible as it was, that's what's my analysis. Now, Fox News says that federal agents had their body cams on during the interaction, several of them. So that's very, very good. Very good. And here's the other thing. My buddy Eric Erickson tweeted this out, and this is so true, like the day of the accident, the day of the shooting, if you will. The day of the shooting. How many people need to die before Minnesota starts cooperating with ICE and Border Patrol? That's all that needs to happen for this to go away. 23% of all the illegals arrested and taken into custody are done in Texas. 23% of them are in Texas. Have you ever heard of anything like this happening here, where I'm sitting in Texas? No. Why? Because our state complies and works with ICE and Border Patrol. See, we want the criminal illegal invaders out of here, and we want all the illegal invaders out of here because they committed a crime to come here. But we'll talk about that another time. This is a choice by the state of Minnesota. They're worse than the state of Illinois. The Governor Walz, lies and says that, and I'm going to play some video, this unmitigated turd, loser, and liar. But he says they do cooperate with ICE and Border Patrol. They do not. The only thing they do is when an illegal is convicted and sentenced to prison, let's say he commits rape and he goes to prison for 12 years. Upon his release at prison after 12 years sentence, then they hand him over to ICE. They do not hand over anybody in local jails, county jails. No local officials and no county officials are allowed to work with ICE and do not work with ICE. That's what Tim Walz is lying about. They do not cooperate. Even California does what Tim Walz state already does. They are not cooperating. This is all because of Minnesota, because of Tim Walz, because of the Democrats there, because of Jacob Fry, and because of St. Paul and all these cities that are sanctuary cities. That's why this is happening. How many more dead people how many more people are going to get shot and killed before they change their ways in Minnesota? That's exactly how you should see it. Trump reveals he had a very good talk with Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis. Jacob Fry said, "My main ask is that Operation Metro Surge, that's ICE and Border Patrol in Minnesota, my main ask is that Operation Metro Surge needs to end. We cannot end anything. We cannot pull all of our troops that are there with the ICE and DHS. We cannot pull them out. Otherwise, the message is clear. Terrorize, hinder, obfuscate, and stop ICE from at all means necessary, like Tim Walz said. Get their face, like the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota said. Use your bodies." By the way, there are several reports that one of the top officials that work with the Walz administration is on the ICE, is running the ICE, the ICE Watch group. This is, I got this right here. At least 2 Democrat Minnesota state officials and a campaign advisor to Tim Walz, Amanda Kohler, have been identified as admins, administrators, and dispatchers in a now leaked Signal group chat used to stalk and impede federal immigration agents in the state. Does it now make sense to you? When you have the highest people in the state of Minnesota, officials and or assistants to their officials like Tim Walz, when they're in charge of ICE Watch, they're running it. Do you now understand what's going on and why Alex Preddy and the other gal are dead? Because they're being told to do it. They're being told this is the state to get up in their faces, to hinder, obfuscate, to attack them. By the way, a quick sidebar. This is huge. You know the terrorists that went into that church in St. Paul, the city's church, and terrorized it? Those radical leftist Marxists that were arrested, and a bunch more should be arrested. Pam Bondi, where are they arrested? Why aren't they in cuffs? The dozens others. This just came in. Some affidavits came in from the plaintiff's attorneys. Listen to this. This is so sick and sad from the church. Victim 2 broke her arm exiting through city's church office door when proceeding towards Saratoga Street. When victim 2 came out of the door and was running, she slipped and broke her arm. I believe this is documented in blank broadcast as described above. Per the report, victim 2 advised St. Paul police they were terrorized. Our children were weeping. College students and young women were sobbing. It was impactful and it will take time to work through. It gets worse. Victim 4 informed agents that members of the parish or church attempted to retrieve their children from the child care area downstairs, but the agitators were blocking the stairs from their children. While this terror attack was going on, they wouldn't let the parents go get their children. Parents were unable to get their children. One agitator was threatening, aggressive, and intimidating towards parishioners. Additionally, this agitator was screaming and getting in people's faces, including women and young children, screaming at them. This agitator continued to scream in the faces of young children while they were crying. Victim 6 thought to himself that this was what it would feel like to be in a mass shooting. Victim 6 recalled people shouting and running, children crying, as well as people singing and praying. Victim 6 recalled Kelly, that's the woke farmer guy, screaming Nazi in their faces. These are terrorists. What's the big picture? The big picture is anything and everything we can do to stop the mass deportations of illegals. Anything and everything. Get violent. Some people will have to die. Unfortunately, these radicals want people to die for their cause. They are not sad that Alex Preddy is dead. They're happy. They are not sad that the woman earlier on that was killed in that shooting because she tried to run over that officer, whether she meant to or not, she hit the officer, causing internal bleeding, and she was driving 2,000 pounds of steel. That's why it wasn't her wife. They were not married. Her girlfriend said, "Why did you use real bullets? I can't believe you used real bullets." These are activists that don't realize that they're literally fafoing with real freaking law enforcement officers with real bullets. And there's a very serious consequence sometimes when you do this. So the leftists and the people in charge of all this, they want this to happen. They want sacrificial lambs because it feeds their fire and feeds their cause. Donald Trump won. I told my daughter this morning. Donald Trump won all 7 swing states. This was a mandate to deport all these illegals, 12 to 20 million illegals that Joe Biden invaded us with. We were like lying on a bed, but letting vampires feast all over us. That's what happened under Joe Biden. And they don't want that to happen. They want to stop it at all costs. And humans being used as human shields, humans being killed while harassing ICE. That woman that pretended like she was, that woman was yanked out of the car. I played you the video the other day in my podcast where they cut her seatbelt to yank her out. She was lying. "I'm going to a doctor's appointment. I'm disabled. She's a radical leftist Marxist. I read you her rap sheet in multiple states, arrested. All she is a professional radical leftist Marxist who intentionally goes after, obfuscates, hinders, and attacks police officers. So they do this and put themselves in the way and get hurt because it makes them win their cause. And if people die, so be it. What do I got here also? Jacob Frey, his main ask is that Operation Metro Search needs to end. In other words, all the ICE and Border Patrol officers leave. Hell no. Trump had better not do any of that. I know that Bovino has been moved, but Bovino has been they explicitly came out and said, no, Bovino has not been demoted, as people are trying to say. Even journalist Nick Sorter, who is almost always right, is wrong when he said that, no, he's been demoted. They wrote back and said he has not been demoted. I think they moved him and some Border Patrol out so as not to inflame the situation further. And Tom Homan, as you know, has been dispatched. He's going in. We'll see how that plays out. I assume it'll be better. The New York Post reports that an accidental discharge of Preddy's Sig Sauer P320 pistol when being held by that agent as it was taken away from him may have made authorities believe their lives were in danger. You bet. After they said gun, 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 it's over. It was 100% accidental discharge by the agent that relieved the person of their weapon because everyone's guns were out. They think that there's a shooting, one source told the New York Post. That's exactly what happened, I believe, 100%. A frame-by-frame review of the Wall Street Journal shows a federal officer pulling a handgun away from Preddy. Less than a second later, the agent fires several rounds. Because the gun probably discharged and nobody knew the gun was taken away, that agent that took away the gun didn't tell everybody. Probably just said, let's get it away. And that's just what happens. And that's why you do not bring a gun if you're going to tussle with officers. Where's the gun? Agent shouted in the chaotic aftermath. I played you that video. Preddy was standing in the street with other people as the agent approaches. He should not have been in the street. We all know this. He was blocking and obfuscating. He approaches the group. Preddy approaches the group seconds later shouting, hey, continuing to film. He's obfuscating. He's tussling. That's why he's dead. They pinned the agent to the ground, the journal says, and agents appeared to discover a firearm on him. That's when they said gun, gun, gun. A second later, one of the agents fires his weapon towards Preddy, the first of at least 10 shots within 5 seconds. Preliminary analysis of the video's audio by the Wall Street Journal suggests a total of 10 shots fired from a single semi-automatic firearm, according to a forensic audio analyst at Montana State University. I think that's what happened. A minute after the shooting, bystander footage shows officers shouting, where's the gun? I played that for you. Now, mistakes were made. This is why Bovino has been kicked out of the area there, and he's not demoted, but he was kicked out rightfully so. Hours later, Bovino told assembled reporters, and this is so wrong, so terribly handled. That's right, I'm criticizing the Trump administration for something. Preddy had approached agents with a handgun, Bovino said, intending to massacre law enforcement. That's a lie. Well, it could be true, but we know of no evidence that suggests that at this time. How dare you say that he was there to massacre law enforcement, Greg Bovino? You're a stupid idiot. I mean, I gotta say, you're a stupid idiot. Some people aren't meant to be in front of the media. He's one of them. And I'm going to say something about Kristi Noem in a second here, too. Trump sidelined Kristi Noem Monday, dispatching Tom Homan, to take charge. Homan is expected to hold a press conference, which he hasn't done as of now. Still not seeing it. By the way, we're going to get the DFW free stuff coming up in a moment, because we're not out of the woods yet on that. Homan is expected to hold a press conference. He hasn't held it yet. The decision is aimed at de-escalating the violence. Bovino sparked fury in the White House when he claimed Preddy had intended to massacre federal agents. Again, freaking stupid. Kristi Noem branded the ICU nurse, the guy who's dead, the decedent, a domestic terrorist. Freaking stupid. You don't know. Just say you should not carry a weapon if you're going to tussle with police. I believe he's dead because he tussled with police, but we'll see what the investigation pans out. From where I sit, it looks like it's a clean shoot, but we'll see what the investigation pans out. If you are going to show up and tussle with law enforcement, if you're going to disobey law enforcement, if you're going to hinder and obfuscate them and chase them, do not carry a firearm. Don't tussle with our agents. You could die if you get into a tussle with them and you're armed. That's what I would have said. Stephen Miller also was wrong when he said that Preddy is a domestic terrorist. Kristi Noem said, quote, the fact that he carried a gun and, she said, 2 magazines meant, quote, he had arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. Again, how dare you say that he was there to inflict maximum damage on individuals and kill law enforcement? You don't freaking know that. Do you not realize when you say this, we're going to figure it out eventually? Just like the crazed leftists, we're going to figure out the truth eventually. The media reports stuff as true, and they say things that are wrong, and they are proven true eventually, but they don't correct it much. This is stupid 101 PR. Stupid. And Trump and the White House were incensed, and they should be. Walz could have urged, this is from the Wall Street Journal editorial board, that he could have urged his citizens to avoid confrontations with ICE. Instead, he made a video urging them to go into the streets with phones and film agents, just like Alex Preddy was doing when he was shot and killed. Whether or not they're performing lawful searches, it doesn't matter. And by the way, yes, the Journal says this has now erased the state's welfare fraud from the headlines. And that pleases Mr. Walz. You're damn right it does. This is the stupidity from James Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Chair Committee member, James Comer had. This is really stupid. He said Trump should withdraw from Minneapolis and send agents there to another city. Abso-freaking-lutely not. We do not withdraw and run in hiding when terrorists chase, hinder, and obfuscate and mess with ICE. Or whatever you want to call them, ne'er-do-wells. If you want to call them terrorists, that's fine. But they're anti-ICE radical leftists is what they are. How's that? Bill Malugin, Fox News, saying this, very misleading from Walz when he says, yeah, we work with ICE, we cooperate with ICE. No, I already went over that with you. No, they do not. Now, Harry Ensign from CNN had a poll that shows that people are a lot more upset about this and they're not wanting to back ICE as much or Border Patrol as much, or that we should stop deportations in the big picture. My answer is absolutely not. I've told that to you. Let me go to some video because you have to see some things that happened last night after the shooting of Alex Preddy. And this city and this state are under attack, and the radicals have been told come out and terrorize, and Minneapolis police will not assist and will not help. This is some sick stuff. This is St. Paul police actually rushing to help because one of the hotels, I believe it's Home 2 Suites or something like that from Hilton, is under attack. The radicals shattered everything. They were terrorizing them. They wounded these Border Patrol and ICE people. Watch this. This is insanity.
Fuck, I'm slip.
Look at that. Look at that.
Member of the Minneapolis Police Department right here.
Okay, Minneapolis Police.
Also side by side with I'm pressed.
See the agent's bloody hands? You're going to see more. This is really, really bad. And it's bad because these terrorists are attacking ICE, destroying hotels. It's all because Tim Walz and Governor Frey, Mayor Frey will not stop the terrorists. They let them go nuts and attack officers, which leads to all these deaths and danger. Here's more from this. It's unbelievable. Another angle. This is really, really bad. See that officer's bloody hands? They broke into this hotel, attempting to take and, to God knows what, kill armed agents. Look at that.
You shot some dude with a beanbag at point blank range who was banging a pan. Is that a crime now?
No, it's not a crime.
Look at that blood all over the place.
You understand? Are you pressed?
Are you pressed? He's asking.
Are you pressed?
I'm documenting.
Then back up.
Back up. See, this is chaos because the city, the mayor, and the governor will not do anything. They were at a hotel, just being at a hotel. There's one more, and it gets sadder and worse and more horrifying to me. One lonely man, a federal officer, and it says Bureau of Prisons. He's a federal officer from the Bureau of Prisons, and he is standing there, and he's guarding this by himself, and you can see he's overworked, he's overtired, he's been terrorized, he's been attacked, and he's trying to hold the fort and trying to have decency and dignity. But these SOBs are allowed to run wild and do vile things. This is very sad to me.
Is everyone pressed?
We're all members of the press. We're all pressed here. Okay.
It's a very sad watch. He's like a wounded dog.
Are you okay? I'm fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Sissy's all right.
Where's the local PD? That's my question for the press.
Okay. It's on.
Where is the local PD?
What's your message to the local PD, sir?
No.
Okay.
Well, the mayor.
Very chaotic.
Sir, while you're giving messages, what would your message to the protesters that want you out be? As long as you're getting comments, you have any comments?
Please back up. Back up. Please give me some room.
We got one lone man, like a wounded dog. I'm serious. That's horrifying. That should not happen in the United States of America. One man, like a wounded freaking dog, sitting there. God help them. President Trump's Governor Minneapolis Mayor Frey said the president agreed the present situation can't continue. Yes, but what's the solution? Trump is reportedly perhaps going to take some people out, but he better not take many because that means the terrorists win. And many of these people are terrorists. That was terrorism right there, that you're watching the results of terrorism with that officer. Here is the Governor Tim Walz. He's going to be smacked so hard momentarily after I play what I'm going to play for you. Here he is saying it's like the Holocaust, and that what's going on right now in Minneapolis is like the Holocaust. Listen to this dumb SOB.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now.
Yeah, so the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum totally rebuked this and attacked Tim Walz for saying this. Quote, Anne Frank was targeted and murdered solely because she was Jewish. Leaders making false equivalencies to her experience for political purposes is never acceptable, says the Holocaust Memorial Museum. Despite tensions in Minneapolis, exploiting the Holocaust is deeply offensive, especially as anti-Semitism surges. You SOB, I'll add that to the governor. Also, in another social media post, this is the rabbi who is an advisor on Trump's anti-Semitism group. Rabbi Yehuda Kaplun says ignorance like this cheapens the horror of the Holocaust. Anne Frank was in Amsterdam legally and abided by Dutch law. She was hauled off to a death camp because of her race and religion. Exactly. Gun owners of Minnesota and other in the NRA are pissed, understandably so, for saying you can't carry a gun to a protest. Whatever the law is, what the law is. The law of Minnesota says you can protest with a firearm if you're lawfully carrying it, which he was, except he was breaking Minnesota law by not having an ID, but I believe he wasn't having an ID because Ice Watch tells their members, as you terrorize, hurt, assault, and block ICE and hinder them and try to release illegals and assault ICE, make sure not to carry your ID. So I believe that's why he wasn't. Speculation, but that's what I believe. Kash Patel was super wrong and stupid when he said you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of a protest you want. You don't have a right to break the law. Kash, what the hell are you doing? You should look up what the law is in Minnesota before you do that. All you got to do is Google, can I carry my concealed carry permit, can I carry lawfully at a protest in Minnesota? And you would have seen it in like 10 seconds. What the hell's wrong with you? Noam, Christy Noam. Again, stupidity. She said Saturday, I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. He has a freaking right to carry that gun. I thought you were Second Amendment. I thought you were 2A. If I can carry my firearm at a protest, I damn well will. But what I won't do is I won't tussle with, disobey, or obfuscate, or hinder, or get in the way of law enforcement. And I don't chase them around and try to block them and stop them and assault them. Big difference. That's why I haven't been shot and killed yet. Gee, surprise, 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 and I won't be. The Gun Owners Caucus of Minnesota was super pissed, understandably. They said there's no prohibition on a permit carrier carrying a firearm loaded with multiple magazines at a protest rally or in Minnesota. Hello! Protest groups in Minnesota specifically advised demonstrators to not bring firearms or weapons of any kind, regardless of what the law allows. You know what I wrote when I saw that? The protest groups, like these terrorist ICE, Minnesota ICE Watch or whatever, they tell you don't bring a gun. Would I bring a gun? Yes, if I could. But again, my protest will not be at or against or hindering or blocking or obfuscating or tussling with law enforcement. My protest will be in support of law enforcement or support of maintaining law and order. The struggle didn't begin because agents attempted to disarm him. The conflict began, apparently, says Axios, because he was trying to help two women who were in confrontation with the cops. He inserted himself in law enforcement. He got involved. He got into a tussle with them. That's why he died. Because he was carrying a firearm at the time he was tussling with them. An agent removed Preddy's gun. One of the officers yelled, "Gun." Preddy was then shot to death for obvious reasons. Again, I've gone over that with you. Meanwhile, what happens if you're a teacher? We know what happens with teachers, at least in most cases, that say vile things about ICE or about Charlie Kirk assassination. They get in trouble normally. Not in Illinois. But what happens in Illinois, in Chicagoland, where I'm from, and I fill in regularly, what happens in Illinois if you're a teacher in Chicagoland who supports ICE? Do you get in trouble for that? Yes, you do. Fox News reports this. Go ICE is what a teacher in West Chicago at one of their elementary schools, he posted on Facebook last week. Go ICE. And so because of this, activists in the, quote, predominantly Hispanic community began sharing the post and calling for action to be taken against the teacher. And by the way, do you know what the percentage of Border Patrol officers is, of Hispanic Border Patrol officers? Do you know what that percentage is? Hispanic and or Central American lineage, if you will, or heritage. Hispanic or Central American lineage, the percentage of ICE officers, but Border Patrol officers that are of Hispanic or Central American lineage, 53%. They're so racist. Oh, they're so racist! Total BS. So you have a change.org petition that was drafted to try to fire this teacher who simply wrote Go ICE on Facebook. Supporting law enforcement can get you fired in the state of Illinois and Chicagoland. They said it's inappropriate and unsuitable for an educator. Literally cheering on law enforcement is inappropriate and unsuitable. It's to show them that keeping this teacher will disrupt the emotional welfare and therefore the education of our students. They're liars. They're absolute liars. He will win if he goes to a court on that, if they fire him. Nothing has happened as of right now that I'm aware of. How wild, though. How absolutely wild is that? And here we go, too. This from Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin, who we're all familiar with. She said Gregory Bovino has not been relieved of his duties as the press secretary from the White House, Caroline Leavitt, said. He is a key part of the president's team and a great American. So that's where I said journalist Nick Shorter said there's no longer commander at large. He's been demoted. He is not. And DHS would know because that's who he works for at the pleasure of. I have a little bit more of some stuff to play for you. Here is, listen to this crazed leftist radical from Minnesota and what he tells, who is this idiot? I can't remember this guy. Is it Jake Tapper? No, it's not Jake. I don't remember which one he is. I can't think of it right now, but here, watch.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. Not saying they're not saying they're putting people in ovens.
I'll go back. I laughed too loud. Hold on. Here we go. This is so great. So here's this idiot who has this guy on. They're both idiots. Here's the idiot from CNN who has this guy on and gives him legitimacy.
Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. Not saying they're Dachau. Not saying they're putting people in ovens yet. But these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you.
Yeah, I don't need to argue about it because he obviously knows it's true. I can't remember. Is that Jake Tapper? I think it is. For some reason, it's drawing a blank. Anyways, let's do that one more time because it's so worthy of being played without me interrupting. I want you to hear it again clearly. This is unbelievable. This is who CNN platforms.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. Not saying they're Dachau. I'm not saying they're putting people in ovens yet. But these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you about that.
Well, there you go. Well, I platformed you, but I'm mad at you now. Why are you mad at him, Jake? You platformed him. You put kooks on your station and your show, your network, and you act like they're legitimate. And you go, Okay, let's get to the DFW storms. Let's play some video and some other stuff too. Oh, wait. We got more from Minneapolis. I got to tell you, there's some fun stuff, some stupid stuff. Here's an idiot who FAFO'd. This idiot, this is comedy to me. This idiot literally picked up a flashbang grenade to try to throw it back at the cops. And apparently the flashbang grenade blew up in this idiot's hand. Here we go.
Medic.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my
god! Oh my gosh!
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh no, he didn't!
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Enjoy your stay at the hospital. Idiota. These are the top-ranking officials and advisors to Tim Walz who are all in charge, reportedly, of Ice Watch Minnesota, which is the terrorism and the hindering and the attacks on ICE, where it all comes from.
Good trouble.
Yeah.
We're going.
Try that again. Here we go. This is one of the Twitter posts, and it shows all these top officials, Democrats and advisors to Tim Walz, and they're in charge of Ice Watch Minnesota. That's been revealed.
We're going to cause good trouble. Yeah. We're going to.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. So Tim Walz. This is why Minnesota Ice Watch is going on. It appears that the lieutenant governor may be involved in it, according to these things I just showed you, and other reports, as well as Tim Walz's top, I think it was pollster or advisor that I shared with you earlier. There you go. Don't be surprised. Here's the here's the chief of Minneapolis Police, who has been long time neutered, and he's had his cojones snipped off, and he's low T, low testosterone, and he humps the legs of Somalis. That's what this guy does, and he learns Somali to hump their legs and kiss their butts while he tries to not arrest them when they're massively corrupt and stealing. Here this clown is on Face the Nation making up some BS.
Well, I've seen the videos just as thousands of people around the country have, and the videos speak for themselves. I think it's deeply concerning, the things that are being said. This is an individual that was a city resident. It appears that he was present, exercising his First Amendment rights to record law enforcement activity, and also exercising his Second Amendment rights to lawfully be armed in a public space in the city. So I think very obviously there are serious questions that are being raised. I think the greater issue is, even if there is an investigation that ultimately proves that at the time of the shooting it was legally justified, I don't think that even matters at this point, because there is so much outrage and concern around what is happening in the city.
What do you mean it doesn't matter at this point? You mean the situation on the ground is already, the impression is left?
People have had enough. This is the third shooting now in less than 3 weeks. The Minneapolis Police Department went the entire year last year recovering about 900 guns from the street.
So in other words, if they would stop enforcing the law, this would stop. It's all their fault. Nobody cares about the truth. Your job as the chief of police for Minneapolis is to tell people to stay away from tussles and don't disobey ICE, and you won't get shot and killed. Your job is to say protesters need to follow the law and stop harassing law enforcement, and when they tell you to get back, or you will be killed. If you have a weapon on you and you're tussling with them, you could be killed, I should say. He is not doing that. He said, doesn't matter. This is the kind of leadership that they have. Facts don't matter, truth doesn't matter, and I won't warn people to stop caring if you're going to tussle with ICE or any federal law. He should say, too, if you get into a tussle with my police officers and you're armed, this could happen to you. Stop harassing and messing with ICE. Obey their commands, and things like this will not happen. He doesn't say that because he is not a cop. He certainly isn't a cop. He's a politician, but he's a woke leftist one at that. So this is why they're dying, is because their leaders are saying, keep going, facts don't matter, keep going. Oh, we're surprised somebody shot and killed. None of us are, sadly. Texas. Oh, by the way, here's another incident. This is a picture of Ice Watch Group. See that picture right there? It says, pull back a stump. On the bottom, it says, pull back a stump. ICE grabs, it says on the top, and then pull back a stump. What does pull back a stump mean? Well, I'm going to show you right here. I will show you what pull back a stump means, because they did it. They actually did it to one of our ICE officers, and here that is. There's your video of pulling back a stump, or your picture. That ICE officer's finger was bit. The tip of it was bit and ripped off. There's a separate picture that shows the tip of his finger in a jar with the fingernail. They literally did that. They pulled back the stump of an ICE agent by taking off the top of his finger. Gone. Let's get to North Texas and take a breather here. Here's some snowplows going through. They look kind of like tractors, but that's what you get when you're in DFW, because we're not used to. We're not used to this kind of weather. Look at that, huh? Looks like a bunch of farmers. The plows. Let's also go to this. This is what's called a steam NATO. I'm not kidding you. What's a steam NATO? A steam NATO, I guess, happens with when it's cold like it is right now, and the lake's hotter, I guess, or much warmer. I don't know, but that's a steam NATO off Lake Louisville. Here we go. Okay, very interesting, huh?
How about that?
Steam NATO, y'all. I think I have one more too. Let's go to this one here. Let's see. I want to show you one more thing here on the storms and all that stuff. No, that was an extra thing. Okay, no, we're good. Here's some stories. By the way, we are not out of the woodwork. You, in my estimation, you should not go to work tomorrow morning if you're in DFW, Tuesday morning. because it won't be melting until later. I'll explain here in just a minute. In fact, it's going to get worse tomorrow morning. Why? Because it's ice that was melting during today, and that's going to create black ice tomorrow, and you ain't going to see nothing, especially if it's early in the morning. Conditions are expected from the Star-Telegram, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Conditions expected to worsen overnight. That's tonight, as temperatures drop below freezing again, increasing the risk of black ice, says the National Weather Service in Fort Worth. Usually prevalent during the early morning hours, makes dangerous because drivers cannot see where the ice is. Temperatures for Tuesday morning in the teens. We're not out of it, and you probably shouldn't go to work till at least, I'm going to take a guess of noon, maybe 11 o'clock, 10 at the very earliest. That might even be too soon. Lingering impacts on the roads through much of the rest of the next week because it'll dry freeze, whatever, or thaw freeze. This is great. Here we go. Here's the stupid people. Advice from the Star-Telegram. Do you need to remove ice from your windshield? Here's what to do. But I'm going to go down. Let's go down to here's what not to do if you're trying to remove ice from your windshield. I like talking about stupid people, don't you? AAA says don't ever use a metal scraper that can scratch your windshield glass and damage your wiper blades. No kidding. Another no-go is using hot water. What idiot would do this? Hot water, because it can crack the glass by causing thermal shock. The same rule of thumb goes for any flame source like lighters or torches. Hello, Captain Idiot. AAA recommends not using a hammer or other tool to break up the ice on the windshield and surrounding glass. Who the heck is that stupid? Sadly, 16-year-old girl, beautiful little 16-year-old girl, died in a sledding crash in Frisco yesterday, Sunday morning, it appears. Monday morning, still in critical condition. Investigators determined the sled was being pulled. Here's why they died. Because I'm thinking, how could somebody die from a sledding? Being pulled by a Jeep Wrangler driven by another 16-year-old boy. That's why she died. God knows how fast they were going. There's two 16-year-olds on the sled. Witnesses reported the sled struck a curb and collided with a tree. Were they going like 15, 20 miles an hour? Horrible. And these girls are beautiful. At least the picture of the deceased girl, she's just beautiful. It's so terrible. Police investigating the accident with assistance of Denton County District Attorney's Office, evaluating any potential charges. This death, and here's what I'm going to call BS again, because remember Winter Storm Uri from 5 years ago? That was the worst one that our grid almost collapsed on. The press lies. Do not listen. They say, 276 people died. That's a lie. Because they included people like this. They included people that slipped in the ice on their driveway. What the hell does that have to do with storms? Excuse my language. They included people who were driving in their cars and were driving stupidly and crashed and got killed or killed somebody else. What does that have to do with a storm? Storms don't kill people. Most of the statistics are total lies. People thought that storm actually killed 276 people. They keep repeating it, even in Fox News, and that's a lie. It ain't true. Much, 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 much less than they report to you. Unless you want to include stupid people or accidents that have nothing to do with power or any of that stuff. This 16-year-old girl's death in Frisco is one of the first publicly reported weather-related fatalities. So this would be one of the 267 or 276 people, whatever it is, that were killed during Uri. Oh, it killed that woman. No, it's unfortunately stupidity got that sweetheart killed, unfortunately. What else? When will the ice melt? Dallas Morning News. Overnight temperatures tonight are expected to drop as low as 12 degrees. 12! It is 12 degrees! What the hell am I doing here? I'm freezing my tuchus off. What are you doing? I can tell you. That's my Indian impersonation. You like it? Reckless driving on icy conditions leads to arrest. I actually have a friend. One of our friends just got married to a gentleman from India. He's a great guy. I wonder what he would think of my impersonation. Would he be upset, offended? Probably not. He'd probably laugh. We'll find out. He follows me. Dallas police impounded nearly a dozen. Okay, these SOBs. There were SOBs driving all over today on Monday. Everything's shut down in DFW. Driving on ATVs, UTVs, and all this kind of stuff. Dallas police impounded a dozen all-terrain vehicles Sunday as reports of reckless driving during the city's icy conditions in the weekend. One including a response in Deep Ellum that included an arrest on a child endangerment charge. They were on the 400 block of North Good Latimer Expressway near Elm Street. Reports are that the ATVs were blocking the intersection and roadway. You know these punks. Police officers arrived. They found a Jeep Wrangler SUV driving recklessly and doing donuts in an intersection there. They arrested this guy because his 11-year-old boy was in the back seat without a seatbelt. Absolute stupid idiot Darwin Awards. The kid's a victim, by the way, obviously. The driver, identified as Eber Rosario Soto, 23, arrested, faces charge of endangering a child by criminal negligence, unlawful carrying of a weapon, and reckless driving. I wonder if he's illegal. I don't know. Police were sent to the 200 block of June Alley, also in Deep Ellum, where officers found a group of ATVs parked in a roadway. Police said the ATVs did not have license plates. 7 were impounded. Good. Also, another one, ATVs on South Riverfront Boulevard in Dallas, where 3 more ATVs towed as unregistered vehicles taken to the Dallas Police Auto Pound. Good. Charge them hundreds and hundreds of dollars and make those bleeps pay, ticket them, etc. All the way. Okay, this is great. This is reason number 1,151 that I don't have and never will get an EV. Actually, let me share you a separate one. I will never get an EV because the Chinese Chi-Coms can hack and shut them down. Our own government can hack and shut them down if they want to. But when it's cold like this, it cuts down the range of EVs, says the Dallas Morning News, and sometimes drains them faster, the battery. So it takes longer to charge the EV. Studies show freezing temperatures can cut an EV's driving range by 25% to 41%. An EV can go 100 miles on a single charge, can only go 60 to 75 miles in freezing weather. No, thank you. And no thank you again, and no thank you again, and again, and again. Dallas police responded to 150 crashes this weekend. People who don't know how to drive on ice and shouldn't be driving out there were stupid. I know how to drive on ice in winter. I grew up in it in Chicagoland, worked in Madison, Wisconsin, in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, way up there, and in Missouri, all snow. I didn't drive in it, because I'm not stupid. Plumbers warn, this is important for you to know, plumbers warn of hidden pipe damage as North Texas prepares for thaw. So not only, you should also worry, like when everything thaws out over the next day or 2 or 3, your pipes could, because you don't know about it. So keep that in mind. I am doing, and if you haven't done this till now, do it now. I have my, under my sink, is the doors are open, and I have a space heater, just putting heat under the sink. Also, the other pipes that are on the wall are my dryers and my washer and dryer. They're stackable. So I have the heat, another, what do you call it, heating element, space heater that blows in the back of the unit on the wall. That wall's nice and really warm. That'll help it too. So I haven't had an issue ever, even in the horrible weather. This is the last thing I'm going to say is this, because it's a joke. Dallas promised the Wings a practice facility, and the clock is ticking. Most people, when you hear, "Hey, do you like the Dallas Wings?" They're like, I like wings. Is that a wing chain for eating wings? No, it's a WNBA team. Nobody knows we have the Dallas Wings, and nobody cares. They were promised a wing practice facility. The clock is ticking. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching because nobody cares. Period. Nobody watches women's sports unless your kid's in it, or it's the NCAA and it's like a team that's on fire, like we've seen some of those players that are on fire, etc. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. I want to again congratulate my friend and my longtime sponsor, Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. You'll be seeing ads shortly, but he is the title sponsor of the Chris Croc Talk with Chris Croc podcast, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems. He's my IRS. He's my what do you call it? Tax preparer, tax planner. He helps me with my business. He is awesome. He helps good people with IRS problems. IRSprob.com. Tell him that Chris Croc sent you to my friend Randy Martin.